Well, I think that's about noticing what drains me and what lights me up. And so if I meet with someone and I go, oh, I feel so great after meeting you, I go, that lifted my energy. And other people I go, oh, God, I feel awful after hanging out with you. That's just a reaction from our energetic connection. But sometimes it's places that we go to that make us feel amazing. Just noticing what works. Like I think, oh, what happens to me when I do this? And just constantly noticing yourself. And I think that's a really important part of it. Like just noticing little things, because it's all the micro moments that actually add up.
Welcome to Future Fit Leadership, a podcast for emerging, experienced and executive leaders to build community, grow capability and future focus their career pathways. There has been a global shift in how we lead, and our conversations with leaders and executives explores the skills, strategies and mindsets that is needed to thrive in this ever-evolving landscape of the future. So whether you are a seasoned executive, an aspiring leader, or simply curious about the future of leadership, we are here to give you practical insights to unlock your potential, change the status quo, and break open our assumptions on how work works. Produced in partnership with Future Leadership, a capability ecosystem for boards and executives, Future Fit Leadership is your place for bite-sized learning for executives hungry to make a change. Hello and welcome to Future Fit Leadership. I hope wherever you are listening to this podcast, you are well. Our guest today is Lisa O'Neill. She is a ball of energy that lights up a room and makes you sit a little taller. And she doesn't just bring the energy, she embodies it right down to the colour she wears and the questions that she asks you. Her story begins with a full stop at 26. An adrenal collapse forced her body to pull the handbrake. No more running on coffee and goodwill. No more just push through. She slept, she healed, and she rebuilt. That season taught us something most leaders leave too late. Time management is not the game. Energy management is. What you bring to a 9 a.m. meeting depends on how you prepare your mind, your body, and your spirit even before you open the door. Lisa calls it opening ceremony for your day. She has written 9 books, including Energy, Get It, Guard It, and Give It. Where do you get your energy? How do you guard it with boundaries? And when do you give it generously without draining yourself dry? We talk about energy leaks, the guilt and the obligation tabs that people often leave open in their minds, and the difference between fun that fills you and fun that leaves you wrecked. From the change room floor to the boardroom, Lisa has a gift for helping people step into themselves. She understands team dynamics, the slow drag of the no person, the quiet power of the thoughtful introvert, and the value of difference over sameness. She reminds leaders that listening and asking great questions is not soft, it is strategy. Lisa reframes leadership as an energy transmission. You are the weather in the room. If you blow in like a storm, everyone feels it. If you arrive clear and grounded, people breathe easier and work gets smarter. Your calendar is not only a diary, it is a declaration of values. If care, focus, and white space are not visible there, they are not yet real. Lisa's leadership questions are the kind you can use Monday morning without a workshop in sight. What problem are we really solving? What would this look like if it were easy? Who is missing from this conversation and needs to be invited in? What can we stop doing with no negative consequence? What is the energy cost of this decision, not just the dollar cost? These questions cut through the noise and ego, and they get you to the truth, which is where momentum lives. Please enjoy this energy-fueled conversation with the amazing Lisa O'Neill. Well, hello, Lisa. Welcome to Future Fit Leadership. So nice to see you after meeting you at the Harcourt's conference earlier this year.
How good was that conference, right? It was amazing.
Great. And your presentation was good. And I was like, I've got to get this girl on my podcast. So thank you for making
it. It was such a fun event. It was a mind-blowing event. I mean, I attend events all the time, but it was next level. I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I want to start by talking about your upbringing because you have so much energy. Like you literally sparkle. You come on stage, or we know even when you meet you to have a conversation with you, you have a lot of energy. So I'm interested to find out, have you always been like this, or was there a point in your life where you went, this is who I want to be moving forward?
Yeah, I've always been pretty full on. I've got raving ADHD and kind of worked that out for myself because it wasn't really diagnosed, especially in girls when I was growing up. But I just always knew my brain was very fast, and I knew that I needed a lot of content to keep my brain occupied. So yeah, I was always very full on and kind of quite, I don't know, like I loved attention. Like I loved it. And my mother was always like, sit down, stop drawing attention to yourself. And I was like, ta-da, here I am. Like I just loved it. I loved attention. I loved telling stories. I loved leadership, like from a very early age. Like I was head girl at school. Like I was all those things, I
Mm.
just was like, put my hand up for everything and just wanted to be, everyone was like, who wants to be on school council? I was like, oh, me. Like I was a real nerd. And I loved anything as sort of achievementy or performancey. Yeah, so I loved that. When I was 26, though, I had an adrenal collapse and I lost all my energy literally. So my body just pretty much stopped working. And I went to this naturopath and he said, oh, congratulations, you've got a very strong head. He said most people have a mental breakdown before they have a physical one. And he said, your body's gone first. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And basically, I was just working crazy hours and burning the candle at both ends, as my mum used to say. And I was doing a lot and just fried myself. And so I had to reset all of my energy and I literally just couldn't move. And I went on this massive, like, 6-month journey of learning all about my energy and all about where my energy came from and what the sources were and how I could boost my energy and what my body needed and what my mind needed. And I just went into a really big, and I'm really grateful that that happened because it was before I had 4 children and I learned a lot about myself. I had this lovely sort of sabbatical at about 26 where I just got married. And I think my husband thought, what a dud, because
What have I done?
I just slept all day, and then I got into a lot of alternative therapies and I was having massage and saunas and seeing naturopaths and homeopaths and I was just crazy about healing. And it was awesome. I learned so much about me and about I think looking after our bodies is a really big job. I don't think we learn enough about our bodies and I
No.
don't think we put enough emphasis on just how important it is to look after yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to do amazing things, you've got to look after yourself, right?
Yeah, and 26 is really young to have experienced adrenal fatigue. Can I ask, how did the symptoms and signs start? Because, like a lot of leaders in their roles, they go so fast and they burn the candle at both ends. And particularly at this time where we're having to deal with so many things that are flying at CEOs and boards and directors and founders, we tend to ignore the signs until you literally can't get out of bed, which by that stage you've clearly got something drastic wrong with you. But what
Well,
were
I think
some
we're
of the
really
early
good. When you're a
signs?
high performance person, you've got to overriding your settings,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what I did. I was like, oh, I'm tired. And I was like, oh, come on, you can just keep going. Like, you'll be fine. Have another coffee. I mean, I was probably having 15 coffees a day.
That's
Yeah.
a
Like,
lot.
yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I was just sort of, and I mean, I've never drunk or smoked, or I wasn't doing anything bad, so to speak, but it was just overworking and just pure exhaustion. So it was really interesting because yeah, it was just really amazing. And the load my liver took on from all the stress, because when you're really stressed, you create an acid in your body that actually puts a load on your liver. And if you don't neutralize that acid, with electrolytes or whatever, it's actually really toxic for all
Mm.
your organs.
So
Yeah.
you've written a book called Energy, Get It, Guard It, Give It. Tell us more about the book.
Yeah, so I wrote that a year ago now, and I love the idea of energy. I think it's literally everything. I think there's nothing more important, and I think if everyone could embrace their energy, the world would be so much better. And I get frustrated with people who are like, "Oh, I'm doing time management," and I'm like, "Get into energy management, and your time will take care of itself." Like having the right energy for what you are trying to do. And I've always wanted to do a lot, so I knew I needed to have a lot of energy. So I needed to understand where my energy came from. So the byline of the book is Get It, guard it, give it. And it was, how do you get your energy? How do you guard it in a healthy way, like with boundaries and with what am I going to put my energy into? Because I wanted to do everything for everyone. I was that person, you know. So I've written, this is my ninth book, and one of my other books was called Juggling in High Heels, which was for women living in chaos. And I was running 2 companies and had 4 children and was just in chaos, and that was post adrenal fatigue, but I was doing it in a much more aware state, so I knew what I was doing and I knew which balls I was juggling. I was really big on prioritizing my energy, and I also worked out really early that I had to be really good energetically, or no one was going to be any good. Like, I couldn't earn money for my family, I couldn't run a business, I couldn't be there for my clients, I couldn't be there for my children if my energy wasn't good. So I needed to prioritize me. And that's probably the biggest. I think that's the thing, especially women. We let ourselves down because we go, oh, I'll be fine. And we put everyone else first. And then we go down and there's no one there because everyone's relying on us. So it's about, yeah, being proactive around that, I think.
I love the difference that you make between time management and energy management, because they are very different things, aren't they? In terms of, like, you know, I can schedule my time around all the things that I need to do in my diary. That's actually really easy to do, but energy management is so much harder, because if you are low on energy, the chances are you're still going to make yourself get out of bed and go to work or do whatever you need to do. You will drag your ass out the door,
You won't be
literally,
effective, right? Yeah.
yeah, to get it done.
Yeah, and I think that book's broken up into physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual energy. And, you know, when you need to have good mental energy, if you're going into some sort of, you know, meeting, or you really need to have your brain on, it's like, what do you do to turn your brain on? How do you get your brain functioning? Because if you've got in your calendar from 9 to 11, I've got this really important meeting, but you haven't managed or thought about the energy you need to bring to that meeting, you might be physically there, but you're not going to be on. Do you know what I mean? Even things like, when is your energy at its best? Like, I'm a real morning person. So for me, I want to do big things in the morning. And in the afternoon, I want to do kind of stuff that's kind of a bit more cruisy, because I find my brain's a bit scattered in the afternoon. But in the morning, my brain's really sharp. And even just understanding
When you are best, yeah.
Yeah, as part of that energy management, and what your physical body needs and what you need for physical energy, like how much water have you drunk, how much sleep do you need, all the basic stuff. You know, if you take these supplements, you know, are you better, or what is it that your body needs? And then what is it that your emotional body needs? I think a lot of people run out of energy because of emotional energy. They have resentment, guilt, obligation, massive problems. And so they're burning energy just with all the guilt and the obligation and resentment that's whirling away inside them. And they're not actually doing anything, but they wonder why they've got no energy. And it's because they've got an obligation browser open and a guilt browser open and a resentment browser open. And they're all taking up massive amounts of energy, you know, without us even knowing.
So you talk about people who leak energy, people who say they're constantly tired, but they're not doing anything about it, about how we've become so disconnected from the energy piece. And in your book, you explore how everything is an energy decision, from, you know, how we talk, what we wear. People can't see you right now, but you've got this beautiful bright green top on. How can we become more conscious of these things? When am I leaking energy? You know, how do I not say I'm tired, but, you know, or do something about it? How do I explore that energy decision? How do I do that on a daily basis?
For me, every decision I make is an energy decision. So I go, right, what time do I need to get up so that I can be mentally, physically prepared for my day? And, you know, I think everyone's got they're either a 1 hour person, a 2 hour person, a 3 hour person. Like, how many hours do you need before you leave the house? And, you know, I know I've got friends who meditate for an hour every morning, so they can't get up 45 minutes before they have to leave, because they have a big piece of what I call the opening ceremony for the day. And it's like, everyone needs to know what their ideal morning looks like and then factor that in. So if you go, my ideal morning takes me 2 hours, and that could be journaling, could be meditating, it could be cooking, it could be walking, it could be showering, whatever you need to do, right, is all part of your own system. And setting yourself up for success is super important. And I do a lot of work with leaders, and I'm like, you're not actually leading yourself. Like, you're not even in charge of your morning. Why would you be in charge of my company if you can't manage your morning? Like, to me, that's 101, that leaders need to be able to lead themselves successfully. And, you know, we all are leaders in some form. And I think we all need to do that. And then I go, right, what do I want to wear today? What's a color that's going to give me joy? And it's kind of an intuitive decision. Like I never plan what I'm going to wear because I need to know, even when I travel with multiple, and then I go, oh no, I feel like wearing that today. And to me, it's about texture, it's about color. It's how do I gift wrap myself so I feel the best for this day and whatever this day looks like. And then what I eat, I go, do I need something light? Do I feel like something heavy? Do I want something hot and spicy, or do I want something crunchy? Like I'm really big on those sort of decisions because I
Mm.
think being in touch with ourselves is really important.
Then how do you end the day? So you've had this beautiful start where you've, been quite clear on, I need to wake up 45 minutes beforehand. I'm going to wear this beautiful green top because I'm talking to Sadhana on the podcast. I've got all these other things to do. How do you manage your energy towards the end of the day when you don't want to end on a high, but that level that allows you to then go into rest mode?
Yeah, so I don't really like watching TV. I do watch TV only because it's something my family quite enjoy together, but I'm not, if I lived alone, I wouldn't watch TV, put it that way.
Mm,
But
mm,
so when I'm doing that, I roll around on the floor. I use a lot of foot rollers and like back rollers, and I spend a lot of time doing reflexology stuff like with oils and stones rubbing my feet. And so I spend a lot of time doing self-massage and sort of winding my body down in the evening. And I love a bit of reflection. And it's only a little 5-minute job. Like it's just like, right, what went well today? What was great? What are you proud of? What, and just really having a little meeting. I'm really big on having meetings with yourself. And it's like, oh, what was good today? And what are you proud of? And what went well? And sometimes I'll journal that. And sometimes I'll just do a little tick in my head and go, and I don't go into what didn't go well because I don't want my last thought of the day to be negative because I think in our unconscious mind, that's not a good way to put yourself to sleep. So I'm really big on self-gratitude, and I'm like, thanks, you were amazing today. Go to sleep. And, I thank myself and then send myself off to sleep.
I love that. I'm going to start doing that. Thank myself and go to sleep and actually go through a tick box of all
Yeah,
the
and I think
things that have
having a
happened.
little moment where you go, oh, you were awesome today.
Mm,
That was a tough day and you did good and I'm proud of you. And I think self-friendliness is something I really like being your own friend and
mm,
talking to yourself as if you would a friend. Like if you had a friend staying the night and you were like, hey, thanks, today was awesome. It's been nice having you here. You'd say that to them before you went to sleep. So why not say that to yourself?
mm. You draw a really clear line between fun and fatigue. And I find this really interesting because I've been guilty of it where I go and do things which, are supposed to be a lot of fun. And I come back from them completely exhausted and drained. How do we manage that?
Well, I think that's about noticing what drains me and what lights me up. And so if I meet with someone and I go, oh, I feel so great after meeting you, I go, that lifted my energy. And other people I go, oh, God, I feel awful after hanging out with you. That's just a reaction from our energetic connection. But sometimes it's places that we go to that make us feel amazing. Just noticing what works. Like I think, oh, what happens to me when I do this? And just constantly noticing yourself. And I think that's a really important part of it. Like just noticing little things, because it's all the micro moments that actually add up.
Mm,
And it's if you can notice constantly, like, who do you feel amazing with? What meeting do you dread? Like, who's the staff member that when you have a chat with them, you go, oh, everything's going to be okay because you're amazing. And who's the person that really weighs you down? And how do you minimize contact with that person or in that environment? Or, what are those things and how do you change that? Like, if you're in charge and you absolutely detest a certain meeting or process, what are you doing about that? Are you
mm,
just going to whinge about it? Like, are you just going to be complicit in that? Or are you going to actually go, do you know what? This doesn't work for me. And it probably doesn't work for other people if it's not working for you.
mm,
And I'm really big on talking to my staff and saying, what's working for you? What's not working for you? What's shitty that you don't want to do anymore? And I don't think people go well when they do stuff that they don't enjoy. So
yeah.
it's like, how do we help people to step into their awesomeness and what they're good at and what they enjoy? Because then everyone's better.
Mm,
Collectively, the energy of a environment gets better if everyone's working to their strengths and everyone's clear around what they like and what they don't like, compared to everyone boiling away in this pot of, I hate this. It's not nice energy to be around.
no, it's not. Now, interesting enough, you actually started your career in fashion, which I find fascinating. It's probably why you dress so beautifully every time I see you. And you've often joked about you've got a PhD in humans because you started on the change room floor as such. What was some of the things that you've learnt in that fashion world that you're now bringing into this world?
Just so I spent a lot of time. I always knew I wanted to help people and I didn't kind of know how. And I've always loved fashion. I love fabrics, I love color. And I worked as a stylist and I worked one-on-one with men and women. But I was blown away. When people take their clothes off, they become quite vulnerable and they share a lot
Mm.
of things with you. So the things they would tell you when you were sitting in a changing room about their lives or about their childhoods or about, oh, I never thought I could wear color because my sister was the colorful one and mum always favored her. And, so we've all got these, we're all just carting around this massive sack of stories that we have all bought into and we believe about ourselves. And whatever you believe about yourself, you're right. So I think I used to watch that and I go, was that true though? Was she really the favorite? And she was like, oh, I don't know. She wouldn't say she was the favorite. I'm like, yeah, I think you made that up. So how about we change that story? And why can't you wear color now? She's like, oh yeah, I probably can. Or, her mum would say, I can't wear green. And I'm like, why can't you wear green? Oh, because mum said I didn't suit it. I'm like, but you're 47. I think you can wear what
Mm.
you want, and it was giving people permission to be who they wanted to be. And I just loved the look in people's faces when they stood back and went, holy shit, I look amazing. And it's like, yeah, you do. And I believe everyone can look amazing. And I started my styling career working with plus size women because I was like, there's just more of you to decorate. Like, I'm excited. You give me a skinny little person, there's only so much I can put on them. It's like having a big Christmas tree. Like I was always really sort of like, it didn't matter how big you were, didn't matter how much money you had. It was like, how do we make you look the best you can? Because I think that has a direct impact. The world responds differently to you. When you're really like well presented, people think, oh shit, she must value herself. So maybe I should value her. And when you turn up kind of looking awful, people go, well, you don't obviously care about yourself. So why would I care about you?
Yeah.
There's a lot of unconscious things that happen from how we physically turn up. And you can change rooms the way you turn up. I used to wear red jackets if I was having a powerful meeting with someone, or, I would wear white if I wanted to kind of be a bit low key. And the psychology behind color is so interesting.
Mm. I like the comment you make about how the sack of stuff that we carry around all the time, and there has to be a level of belief in that sack of stuff for us to carry it around. And I was
Yeah.
reflecting on this myself the other day because after a while, that sack becomes a reality, and you kind of have to. And I was actually reflecting and thinking, was that actually true? Did that really happen? Or have I taken on somebody else's stuff and made it my own? And now I believe it because I've been carrying it around for so long.
Yeah, it's true. And this wonderful woman, Byron Katie, I don't know if you've ever read any of her stuff. She's one of my favorite spiritual teachers. She's amazing. And she has this process called the work. And the first two questions is what happened and what did you make it mean? So
Mm.
what happened to you and what did you make that mean? Such amazing stories. Like it's like on my fifth birthday, my sister got a new jacket. And what did you make that mean? It's like, oh, it meant that mum liked her more than me and it was my birthday. And I'm like, but is that true? Like, or did your daughter, sister just need a jacket?
Yeah.
The jacket's on sale that day and she just needed a jacket. And you've made that believe, you've believed that and turned that into a belief. And then you've carried it around with your whole life going, oh, well, mum always liked you more. And it's like, really? And we are meaning making machines as humans. That's what we do. We take everything. You walk into a room. I was at a children's sport thing one day and I was in a rush because I had four children at three different venues and I rushed in, grabbed my son, rushed out. And then I got this phone call about an hour later from a friend, and she was like, "Oh, hi, it's me. Hey, I'm really worried. Have I upset you? Like, what have I
Offended you.
done?" And I said, so I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, you walked straight past me tonight. And I was like, mate, I was in a rush. It was nothing to do with you. She
Mm.
said, oh, I've been in a spin thinking that I must have upset you and you weren't talking to me and we weren't friends. I'm like, oh, I don't even have time for this shit. Like, what are you talking about? I said, I literally was in a rush. I was focused on getting my kid in that car quickly so I could get out of the car park quickly so I could get to my daughter's dance class. It was nothing to do with you. And she went,
Mm.
oh, oh, thanks for that. I'm like, no problem. And I'm kind of glad she phoned because otherwise it could have turned into something where
Yes.
she then didn't speak to me for a month because she was like, oh, and we just do this all the time,
Yeah, we do. We
constant.
do. We
And we do it
do.
at work. Like, oh, I didn't get invited to that meeting. They don't think that I'm any good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, they thought you were in another meeting. Like, do you know what I mean? And we need to get clarity on this stuff because this is the stuff that messes with our mental and our emotional energy.
And also to actually not call it out, but to actually ask the question, would you like me in that meeting? Or, I'd like to be in that meeting. Can I
Yeah,
please
or is there any
attend?
reason why I wasn't involved in the meeting? I would love to be there. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that, but people go, "Oh no, if they didn't want me, then bugger them."
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
so it's really not okay. And we weren't taught, most of us haven't been taught how to be assertive with our energy, and then people overdo it. And I run a program called Women of Power, and I find women have an interesting relationship with power because mostly they've had power over them.
mm,
And I believe women with power inside of them is really powerful. And to be powerful is different than, just being a bitch.
yeah,
Like, I'm like, that doesn't just mean you walk in and go, well, this is what I need. I'm like, oh, whoa, 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 that's not powerful. That's actually stroppy and unkind. And there's a different sense of, a really strong power, which is power is one of our greatest energies. And
yeah.
I think learning to understand your power and to say, you can say politely, look, and I'm not enjoying the way you're speaking to me right now. And I don't want this conversation to carry on. And that's a very strong, powerful, gentle way of asserting yourself without being like, oh my God, I hate it when you talk to me like that. And storming out of a meeting, making a scene,
Mm.
which just ruins everyone's energy.
Well, you give your energy and power away when you do the storming out, don't you?
And that reaction is so, and I love the responsibility, broken down into the word of it's the ability to respond and being in charge of our ability to respond at any time. And like for me, with 4 children, I needed to have good responsibility because I didn't know what was going to happen in any day with anything that was going to happen. 3 of my children are type 1 diabetics. And so that meant any one of them could have a medical crisis at any moment.
Anytime. Mm.
Anytime, 24 hours a day. So I needed to be in a good space so that I could jump in the car and go to hospital if I had to, or that I could pull out of a meeting. I had to be sort of emotionally agile, and I couldn't do that if I was brittle and frayed. So being responsible for our energy gives us the ability to respond in a way that's kind of a grown-up response instead of a reactive space.
Interesting enough, you're very bold, like, your energy, what you wear, how you enter a room. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been asked not to be so bold?
No, not really. I've deliberately made myself not bold to my detriment on the odd occasion. I was asked to speak at an event years ago, and the guy running it was an incredible, incredible speaker. And he said, I think you're amazing. This is when I just started my speaking career. And I'd really like you to, bring some of your energy to this event. And I was like, oh, and it was a corporate event. So I turned up and I wore navy blue and I was very demure and I was very polite and I was very professional and I was like, oh my God, I'm nailing this. Like I'm so amazing. And I'd completely minimized myself. Like I had worn very corporate colors. I was in navy and white, which I never wear. I had worn very minimal jewelry. I just, I was very minimal. And I was minimal with my energy. I was minimal with everything, my expression. And I thought, oh, I have nailed this. He's going to be like so impressed. And I walked off the stage and he said, what the hell was that? And I went, oh, like that was me, like on my best behavior. And he said, that's not what I wanted. I wanted you fully expressed, full force you. What was that? And I was like, oh, I thought that's what the room wanted from me, And he was like, no, I just want you to be you. And I was like, oh, wow. And because I'd been made wrong a lot of my life for being too
Mm.
bossy, too bold.
Mm.
So I haven't really had people tell me not to do that, but I have done it to myself, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
That's
no one
interesting.
really would do that. I don't really hang out with people that would do that, I don't think. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's a real challenge that am I too much? Should I minimize myself? And now I'm in my 50s. I never minimize myself. I don't care. I
I think you
used
get to a certain point in your life where you don't actually give a shit anymore. And I'm certainly at that point in my life. But I think I remember early in my career, I wasn't as bold as I am today because I was too scared to own the space that I was in.
And we've got to know that we are valuable, especially women. Like I see these women all the time just and it, the way we're raised, like I've got 2 sons and 2 daughters, and I see it all the time, and I've raised them the same, except the world has responded to them differently, right? So the boys have got this natural, and I think men hit power very early. I think it's a testosterone thing. They just kind of become like, poof, they're these big transformers full of muscles, and they're all like, I'm amazing, check me out, I can do this, I can do that, and they've got this I can energy. And girls are like, oh, do you mind if, and could I please, and would it be okay if? And I'm like, oh, come on, like let's just stop being meek. And it's a shame to me that women take so long to hit their power. And I see the young women all the time, and I'm like, can you remove the word just out of your vocabulary? Don't ever say to me, I'm just beginning, or I'm just new in this industry, or I'm just, a professional assistant. I'm like, you're not just anything. Like, stop saying just, and stop minimizing yourself. Like, know what you bring to the table and know your value. And I think that's really easy to do. You go, well, look, I'm qualified in this, and I've had experience in that, and I'm really good at this. And especially in New Zealand, we're terrible at tooting our own horns. I say, what are you good at? And people go, oh, nothing. I'm like, what do you mean nothing? You wouldn't be getting paid wages if you weren't good at something. Like, tell me 5 things you're good at. And they go, oh, and they can't do that. And I think it's really important that we learn a little bit of self-promotion and a little bit of, what are your strengths? What are you good at? And being able to go, hey, I could help you with that. I'm really good at that. People go, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, they're not going to say no. Unlikely to say no with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You work with leaders in organizations, and I'm interested to know, is there a consistent energy blocker you see, particularly in high performing teams?
Yeah, well, I think it's dynamics. I think dynamics is always really interesting. Like, what's the dynamic of the team? And I'm quite intuitive. So I can walk into a team and go, okay, well, you've got this guy over here who's like, no, 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 in the team, dragging down the team. You've got this one over here thrashing themselves against a wall with lots of ideas, but old Mr. No, no, no saying no, 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 and then you've got this woman over here who's doubting everything. A team is just a collective energy, right? So I think understanding the dynamics of what a team, I love to go in and go, right, what do you need to be amazing? What are you not getting from this team? What's working, what's not working? And I'm really brutally honest. And I enjoy that conversation, because I think it's a bit like any dynamic, like a family or anything. You need to understand what everyone needs to work together well. And where you've got friction points is usually a conflict of personality, or, when it's like, you don't have to like everyone, but you need to, it's your professional responsibility to find out how to respond to different people so you can get the best out of them. And behaving badly is never going to work. And it used to be, back in the 80s and stuff, you could just be a leader and stomp around and,
be grumpy and yeah.
Just because I told you, otherwise I'll fire you. You got away with that, but it doesn't work anymore.
No. With the leaders that you work with, and you're getting them to take responsibility for their energy, how do you get them to do that when their plate is already full and they're already under so much pressure?
Well, I think they've got to work out what's important. What's important is them. So, and they go, oh, but I'm so full. And I'm like, yeah, but full of what? Like, really, because you are so full and you've got a lot on your plate. But at the end of the day, what really matters, and sometimes I love doing leadership offsites where you take a team away for 2 or 3 days and go, right, what do we need? What's not happening? What apparently are the values that you've got on your wall that you're not
living?
You're not living. And how do you want to be? What do you want? And then what do we need to do to get that? And everyone's got their own individual. And then it's about collectively bringing all of those 4 or 5 individuals together and working out, right, so you need this from her and she needs that from you and he needs that from him. And I think that's the dynamic. And I think we get into it, no, I don't like her. It's like, I don't care. You're not paid to like her. You're paid to work together and to get the best out of the two of you so that you can benefit the company you work for. That's why we're here. We're not here to like each other. I work with people I don't like, but I go, you're awesome at that. And I'm going to take all that awesomeness and combine it with my awesomeness. And this project's going to get better because we're going to do that. But it's not about, I'm not going to have dinner with you on a Sunday night. I'm not going to go on a walk with you on a beach, right? Because you're not my person. But it's about being really strategic and smart and going, what's the energy you've got? And appreciating difference, I think, is such a big thing. Because as humans, we go, you're not like me, so I don't want to hang out with you. I'm like, wow. Whereas I'm going, I don't want any more of me because there's a lot of me. So when I'm looking at employing people or working with people, I go, oh, no, I want someone that's so opposite to me,
Or
that
something
fits
I'm
my
not good
gap,
at.
fills my gaps, because we have this natural thing as humans where we go, oh, yeah, you're like me, I'll collect you. And you're like me, I'll collect you. And I'm fascinated I'm like, wow, why do you think that? Wow, who taught you that? Like, where did that come from? I'm fascinated by why people think things. And I love hanging out with people who are completely different to me, that have different upbringings or different, because I'm so fascinated. I'm so curious about people. But I think we need to be more curious and more into what can you bring, instead of bringing our own shit to the table.
Mm. With all the industries that you've worked across, because you've worked across a number of industries, is there a common thread that great leaders have, particularly around this energy management and people management, and that flows through into how well the business performs?
Oh, yeah, I think listening and asking. The old leadership model used to be tell, and I think it needs to be listen and it needs to be ask. And really smart leaders listen and then they ask loads of questions and they gather everything together and then they take their very big brain and they work it out and then they go back with, this is what I've worked out. And that's to me, if you're not listening and asking and talking to everyone in your business, and people say, I don't really like talking to people. I'm like, cool, don't be a leader then. Like, just don't be a leader. If you haven't got the time or the inclination to talk to your people, you're a manager. You're not in the game. And I think that's the most important thing. You've got to listen to your customers, you've got to listen to your staff, you've got to listen to your suppliers, and then you've got to ask really good questions and then go away and make sense of that. To me, that's listening and asking is the greatest things you can do.
What do you want your legacy to be, Lisa? Not just in work, but how you've made people feel. You've written 9 books, you do so many presentations throughout the year. What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't know. I just want people to believe in themselves and to just know that they can be better and to liberate. Liberation's a really big energy for me, like liberating people out of work they don't like, out of lives they don't enjoy, out of habits they don't like. It's like, get in charge of your life. Like, I'm really big on reinventing and rediscovering and redesigning your roles and your lives and your companies. And I work with lots of self-employed people who I'm like, right, what do you want to do for the next 12 months? And they're like, I don't want to do that. And I do want to do this. And I'm like, great, and business owners that go, I don't enjoy this anymore. And I'm like, cool, what can we do about it? Let's shift. We don't just have to go, I started this business 27 years ago and I'm going to do the same thing every day until I die. That's existing. It's not living. So I'm really big and, I love poking sticks.
I gathered you like poking.
I'm quite pokey.
You're a good poker.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, we've come to a point in our podcast where we do what we call the spotlight shuffle. So I've got 20 numbers with 20 questions against them. You don't know what the questions are. And if you were sitting in front of me, I'd have them in a little box and you'd pick out a number. So we're going to do this digitally. So you're going to tell me a number and
Okay.
I will ask you the question against that number.
Oh, I want number 18.
Ooh, 18. Okay, let me go down
Ooh.
to 18. Number 18 is, what's a business decision you've made that felt risky at the time but ended paying off?
I don't know. I think I do that all the time.
You live in risk.
Yeah, I quite like a bit of risk because I'm not nervous about risk. I'm very intuitive. So I just go with my energy and I go, no, I'm not going to work with that client, or no, I don't want to attend that event, or no, I don't want to, I'm no longer going to run this program. So yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that because I feel like I take risks all the time, but it's more around shifting my energy to work for me. So other people go, oh, that's risky. I'm like, no, it's not, because it's so obvious to me that this is where my energy needs to go. So I'll have a successful program running. I run a lot of public programs and I'll be running this really successful program. And then I go, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And my team will go, why not? I'm like, because my energy's not there and I've got to move over here now.
Yeah,
And
so you pivot
moving.
you pivot really quickly. You make a decision and you pivot really quickly.
And that's one of the reasons I love being self-employed, because it's,
Yeah.
when you're a big company, that's a big ship to turn. And I love the fact that I can wake up on a Tuesday with an idea and I can have an event on sale on a Thursday, and I love that. Like I'm very fast, and so I love the speed that I can create and change and shift. And I think the world's changing so fast at the moment that, I get really bored working, or I don't work anymore with government departments, or because I'm just like, oh my God, it takes you 10 years to do anything. I just don't have the
Too
energy.
slow, too slow.
It's too slow, yeah. And I love that sort of speed, and I think being able to shift and change is a really good thing for all businesses. Being able to respond to the conditions around you. I mean,
Mm,
COVID taught us that, right?
it
It's
did.
like, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Okay, what's the next number?
I get another one, number
Oh yeah,
three.
you get about four.
Oh, do I? Okay, I have number
Yeah,
three.
yeah. Number three. What's the most exciting possibility you see in the future of leadership or work?
Oh, most exciting possibility. I just think people leading their way. I think now we've got a lot of diversity and inclusion happening, and I think the world's moving towards more individual styles of leadership. So it's like, this is me, this is the style of leader I am, and they go, oh, we want you here. Like, that's awesome. Instead of everyone has to be the same mold.
Mm,
So I
mm,
think that's really exciting. And I think bringing in really diverse leadership is going to be so good for companies, and people now have more they're more courageous about being themselves at work. So in the old days, people had to hide who they were at work, and they wouldn't talk about their home life, or you know what I mean, or they would wear a suit and then in the weekends they would be outrageous and they'd be wearing paisley pants, but at work they wore a blue suit. But now people are bringing themselves to work, and I
mm,
think that's really healthy, and I think it's good for companies, and I think people then get to choose who they want to work under, because before we were all working for these fake pretend people that we didn't really know, and they hadn't really identified themselves. Like, it was like having a crystal ball under a cloth. Like, it's like no one knew what was under there. Whereas now you get to come to work, and be outrageous and flamboyant, or you get to be really shy and really subtle. And like, I've got a friend who's got a new boss, and she said, oh, she's just amazing. And she's really quiet and really shy, and she doesn't say much, but when she speaks, everyone's mind's blown. And we used to have this really stroppy, bolshy woman, and now we've got this quiet. And she said she's so inspiring to all of the introverts in the team, because she's such an amazing
mm,
leader, but she's not trying to be an extroverted, bossy leader. She's just sitting back going, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
mm.
And
And
that's
there was a time when we would never have considered her in a leadership role.
absolutely. And I think, companies need to look for leadership for purpose. And it's like, what's the leader your company needs right now? What is the leader this team needs right now? Do you need someone risky and sort of out the door, or do you need a safe pair of hands? Instead of companies that go, oh no, we're very conservative, everyone's safe. I'm like, if everyone's safe, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, you're not growing. You're not
No. And
growing.
if it's like, what's the next fit for the company, for the world we're in? Like, the world's crazy at the
Mm,
moment. So, I think we've got to be more agile with that.
All right, next number.
Oh, 12.
So number 12 is, what question do you ask yourself when you're stuck or facing a hard decision?
Oh, always, what can I control and what can't I control? So
Mm,
the circle of control, Stephen Covey's work, I find that really powerful. And whenever I'm stressed or stuck, I draw two circles on a piece of paper, and I go, what can I control? What can't I control? And then I go, well, given that I can't control that, or that, I'm not going to go ahead with this decision. Or actually, I've got enough in my circle of control that I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to do this. Or so I find that what can I control, what can't I control is the best energy question, because it stops me thrashing about, worrying about stuff I can't do anything about.
Great
You know,
question.
like,
I like that.
yeah, it's just, I mean, Stephen Covey's work, I think, is amazing. And it's so simple, but
Yeah.
knowing what you can control and what's in your circle of concern and what you can influence. And as a leader, you have so much
Mm,
influence. Like, the way you walk into a room has influence, like, and I think knowing what you can influence, knowing what you need to be concerned about, like, you go, yeah, cool, I've got that out here, because over here I'm a little bit concerned because I've been watching that team and I'm not sure, and then what can I control is right, what's actually in front of me.
mm.
Um, and I think those three energies always help me when I'm in any sort of pickle.
Your last number.
Oh, nice number. Number 9.
What's a leadership skill you think is wildly underrated but very essential?
Yeah, asking questions, but good questions. answers are only as good as the questions,
Yeah.
right? And if you ask, like if you say to someone, how are you? Oh, what a boring
I'm
question.
okay. Most people are going to say, yeah, I'm
okay.
okay.
Would you go, what's the most exciting thing you did this week? And you go, actually, or what are you most proud of that you've achieved in your role? Like if I was a leader and I walked onto a factory floor of a factory that I owned, I'd be asking, people, what are you most proud of? What do you enjoy the most about this factory? If you were me for the day, what would you change? Like really good questions squeeze really good stuff out of people. And I think people are we go, oh, I'm really tired, so I'm just going to, oh, hi, how are you? It was a complete waste of words, mate. Like that was a waste of energy. It's just boring. And I think being creative in our thinking is really important, but asking good questions. I think it's one of the most creative things. I learned that with my children. I would interview them and I'd be like, what's the coolest thing that happened to you today? What's your favorite color right now? If you could eat anything, what would you eat? Like I just used to ask them random questions. If you were a flavor of ice cream, what flavor would you be? And it just made them, think creatively. Like I love asking random people say, why would you ask me that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, my favorite question in the world is what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And if you couldn't fail, what would you do? And people go, oh, I'd probably, play football for Manchester United. And I'm like, cool. So do you love football? And they're like, oh, yeah, but I'm 47. I'm like, yeah, but you could play indoor football or you could coach or, what could you do that's a little slice of that dream and bring that into your energy? Because there's a reason why you want that. And we go, oh, but I'm too old to be a professional footballer. So we shut that down. But I'm like, yeah, but there's lots of things you could bring into your energy that have something to do with that dream. So yeah, I think we give up too easy on stuff like that.
Thank you for spending your time with me this morning. You've certainly energized me. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
So my website, or you can just email me. I'm pretty easy to find. Just lisa@lisaoneil.co.nz. That's how you can find me. Everything's on my website. If you want any
and all your books and all the details on your website. So if they want to actually go and buy any of your books, you've got 9 of them, they can do so off your website. So thank you so much for sharing your energy with me this morning. And
thank you for having me. It's so nice to have time to talk to you.
Yeah, I look forward to hopefully seeing you at some conference very soon.
Excellent.
If you like what you've heard, please share, rate and review this podcast. And don't forget to share it with anyone who might benefit from hearing it. The producer of Future Fit Leadership is Maritza Barone from Guide Your Light Network. If you would like to reach out to me, please DM me on any of my social media platforms. I'm available for speaking at conferences or consulting to your business. Future Fit is created in partnership with Future Leadership, a capability ecosystem for boards and executives. If you'd like to join the community and receive a free takeaway each week, sign up to the Future Exchange app in my show notes. Thank you for having me in your space.
This is a Guide Your Light Network production, creating podcasts with purpose.